I'll be reading from Ephesians 6:18 through 20. Praying at all times in the Spirit, with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints, and also for me, that the words may be given to me in opening my mouth boldly to proclaim the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that I may declare it boldly as I ought to speak.
Go ahead and stick your marker there at Ephesians chapter 6, verses 18 through 20. That's going to be our text this morning. For those of you who are visiting, you got a little bit of an introduction with Ryan there at the start. We've been moving through the full armor of God that begins in Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 10. And the first main lesson on that was to really spend a ton of time thinking about verse 10. Finally, my ESV says, be strong in the Lord. It should say, be strengthened in the Lord. It's passive. And so when we say be strong in the Lord, I'm not standing here pointing at you saying, try harder, work more. You need to toughen up and be hardened and be strong. It's saying you need to be strengthened be strengthened in the Lord. How do I do that? By putting on the full armor of God. That's what we do. That's the active thing that we participate in. And so last week we talked about this armor of God, the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness. Here you go. The shoes of readiness. Put your shoes on and get ready to go. Do what? Teach the gospel. To preach the gospel of peace. Take up the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. That is our offensive weapon. The word of God is what we fight with. And then I told you last time, not just because I ran out of time, which I did, but that was the plan. Verses 18 through 20. Look at this, just real quick. Verse 14. Stand therefore, having fastened on the belt of truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness. You got 2 of the 7 things listed in that one verse, right? And you look down throughout these examples and you'll see other stuff like this. And then you get to verse 18, and Paul's got this long thing where he talks about prayer. It's a part of our spiritual warfare, but he spent more time talking about that than any of the other things that he talked about up to this point, which is why we're going to pause here for this morning's lesson, and we're going to say, let's just spend a little bit of time talking about prayer and how important it is. I was thinking of this with this lesson. You can turn over to Mark chapter 9 if you would like. I'm not going to turn over there and read it, but you can. There's a boy with an unclean spirit in Mark chapter 9, and the story really is about how Jesus' disciples can't get along with each other. They're arguing with each other. They're arguing with everybody else around. And the conversation is, we've been able to cast demons out of people, but not this kid. What's wrong? What's going on with this kid? And Jesus comes and straightens the situation out and heals the boy with an unclean spirit. It's what I'm thinking of right now is verses 28 and 29. The disciples said, why could not we cast it out? That's the problem with this text. It's because you were trying to do this thing. Why couldn't we cast this out? And Jesus' answer is that this kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer. And the reminder is, you're just a vessel. It's the power of God working through us. This is not you be tough and you be strong. It's you put on God's stuff and go out and work with His power. That's what we're talking about. Which seems like now we should really focus especially on prayer as a part of this conversation. Communicating with God and talking to Him and asking Him to help us and to support us and to strengthen us. Prayer should be a massive part of this conversation. And so I'm just going to go through the scripture reading piece by piece and talk about each one. I'm not going to read each of these passages, but They would be good to write down if you want to think about each one of these. So in verse 18, Paul says that we should be praying at all times. That all times is the thing that I'm focusing on here. And maybe if I say like, hey, be praying at all times, and you're like, be praying at all times. Let's do this, the Boyer Standard Version. We'll update it to 2025. Just pray a lot. Pray all the time. Don't stop praying. That's what these passages talk about here. Romans 12, be constant in prayer. 1 Thessalonians, don't cease. Just pray without ceasing all of the time. Jesus told parables about this. We're going to come back to Acts chapter 1 near the end of this lesson. But I wanted to do this twice. In Acts chapter 1 and verse 14, Jesus has been murdered. He came back and he appeared to the disciples. Yeah, that's good. But then he left again. And the disciples, just imagine the confusion. And their total world has been rocked in every way. And they're spending a lot of time, what in the world are we supposed to do? Like, I don't know about this. And so I love Acts chapter 1 and verse 14, where we're scared and we're confused and we don't know what's happening around us and we don't know what we're supposed to do. But what do? We come together. They're together. That word is important. In Acts chapter 1 and verse 14, all these with one accord, and listen to this, were devoting themselves to prayer. What are you devoted to in your life? What is the thing that you're devoted to? Well, for these disciples, it was praying together with each other. It's a major part of who we are and what we're supposed to be doing. Next, praying at all times, the text says, with all prayer and supplication. So I want you to notice this. That sometimes when the Bible does this, it's like a little red flag. Hey, pay attention. You heard the same word, and there's like ding, 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 ding. A lot of them all going on at the same time. Let's read verse 18, and you're listening for the word prayer and supplication, okay? Praying at all times in the Spirit, with all prayer. Got that? That's what you're supposed to be doing. Pray with all prayer. And you're like, pray with all prayer? What are you talking about? But what I'm doing is I'm heaping it on you. Pray. How do I pray? With all prayer. Like, just keep it going. And then there's even more of that. Praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayer and supplication. Supplication, the word supplication is a relative of the word to beg. And so it's kind of like I'm doing this, Ryan. It's like, hey, Ryan, you're supposed to be praying. No, praying and begging. So praying with all prayer and begging. You see what I'm doing? I'm like pouring it on and adding it. Praying with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keeping alert with all perseverance, again, making supplication, begging, asking, with all supplication for all the saints. In all of this thing, it's just like lathering it up. And ultimately, the main point about this one, with all prayer and supplication, my main point with this one is intensity. You don't just say, have you prayed today? Yep, at lunchtime. Does that convey the sense of intensity that we're talking about right now? Yeah, I prayed before breakfast. Okay. We're talking about standing against the evil spiritual forces that we talked about last Sunday night in that lesson, a whole lesson talking about all of these things, the rulers, the principalities, the powers, the cosmic forces of darkness, all of those things. And you need God in you, God's power to work, to have a chance in this war. Have you been in touch with God, asking and begging and talking to Him? I prayed before lunch. You see the problem? No, with all prayer, and supplication. Prayer, supplication, begging, asking, begging. And then listen to this, all. I haven't done this yet. I don't know if I'm going to do this. That sounds like one of those Donald Trump quotes. I don't know, maybe. You don't know if I'm going to do it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. I was thinking about this, though. The word all in verse 18. Praying at all times in the Spirit, with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keeping alert, with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints. Intensity, intensity, intensity. Praying needs to be something that is a regular part of our lives if we're going to have an opportunity, even a chance of standing against the evil spiritual forces that this text talks about. Next, in verse 18, let's just read it again. Praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayer and supplication. To that end, here you go. Keep alert with all perseverance. Keep alert with all perseverance. If we're doing the soldier thing, helmet of salvation, breastplate, shield, sword, if we're going to do the soldier thing, these words in this soldier conversation that we're talking about right now is stay awake and don't quit. That's keep alert. Don't let your guard down. That might be how we talk about that one. One of the I got a ton of conversation from the sermon last Sunday night, which I'm really glad about because I wanted to talk about that one a lot. Evil spiritual forces and who we're fighting against and all of that stuff. I got a lot of conversation with that. You know, one of the biggest pieces of that conversation, this came up multiple times. People were saying things like, I just feel like my biggest problem in this battle against these evil spiritual forces is that I can't see the enemy right in front of me. Like I'm fighting against an enemy that I can't see. And I know that he's moving against me, but I don't know how or where he is. And I feel that a lot. That's the reason why we went to Elisha's prayer. Lord, open his eyes that he can see. That's what we need, is to be able to see. But that's what this point is about right now, and that's what how prayer is involved in this whole conversation is just because you can't see the enemy, actively see the evil spiritual forces in front of you right now, doesn't mean you can let your guard down and act like he's not there, because he is. And so the main point is wake up, be alert through other places in the New Testament. Be sober-minded, don't get drunk, have a clear head all the time. Stay awake, don't fall asleep, always ready to go. That's the main point here. And then it says with all perseverance, and I won't belabor this any longer than I really want to, but I won't for your sake anyway on this one. But perseverance, this word is neat. To continue to do something with intense effort with the possible implication of despite difficulty. Keep going, but I'm tired. I know. But keep going, but it's hard. I know. Keep going, but I just want a rest right now. No, perseverance. Keep going, perseverance. Don't stop. Stay awake, don't quit. That's what those two things are. And that's the way that we treat prayer. Constantly connected with God. Constantly fighting this battle. Constantly in touch with God. Asking God for awareness and for strength and for help. And don't quit. Ever. Just one last thing that I want to do. Don't get your hopes up. It's going to take a couple minutes. Look at the last piece of this. Verse 18, praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints. And then, in verse 19, and also for me. So here's the deal on this one. This one means a lot to me. this point. And we're going to talk more about this point next Sunday morning in the next lesson, where in verse 21, Paul starts talking about Tychicus. It's not an accident. It's not an accident that here he says, we are fighting a war. Put on the armor so that you can fight this war. And it's not an accident that at the very end of this conversation about fighting a war, he says, and we need to pray for each other. Not just for yourself and for your soul in this war, for each other. We need to be involved with each other. And Paul, an apostle, think of an apostle who spoke the inspired word of God, who did miracles. That's pretty cool stuff. The apostle Paul. Paul said, and also would you pray for me? If Paul said, I need your prayers to do this thing, you think I do? You think we do? Absolutely, like we're in this together. And then he finishes with Tychicus. So here's the thing. I know I talk about this a lot, but it's really, really important to me. Bob, I should have asked you this on Friday when we had breakfast. Go back to basic training, Marines basic training, like 100 years ago. I can only talk about police academy stuff. I've never done the military basic training stuff. Basic training. Did you guys emphasize the thing about always be together, always have a partner, always have someone with you, behind you? Is that a huge part of your, like that's the number one rule in police work. Whatever you do, you don't do it by yourself. That's probably true. Reggie? It's a major part of this, right? It's a huge part of what we do. We go places together. I need to know that someone's got my back, and I'm watching someone's back all the time. That's a major part of this conversation. I'm not trying to start a fight. That's not what this is. But I say this sometimes, and I want to take it seriously. I always want sermons to be real, like real life stuff, not pie in the sky, fluffy conversations. I expect that when the time comes, spiritual warfare, doing hard things with for the Lord, with my church family, doing difficult things, I expect for some people to be absent. You're just not there. Like, hey, let's go. And I turn around and you're not there. I expect that. I'm not trying to be mean about it. I just expect it. Like, I need you right now, and you're not there. I'll tell you another thing that I expect. I expect there to be people who throw me under the bus over and over again. That's been the experience. Like, hey, let's go do this thing, and turn around, and you're the one with the gun to the back of my head. Spiritually. Throw me under the bus. But this is true for more than just our shepherds in this congregation. But this is, you know how when we appoint shepherds at the very end of the elder process, we ask the question, if you will support these men and follow these men, please stand up. I take that standing up thing seriously. I think about it, for real. I think about it, and I stand up with this in my head. I've got your back, and I know that you've got my back. Like, we're going to go fight the devil, and we're going to do it together. That's what's happening. Tim talks about that, serving as an elder. Like, do this. When we were talking about Ed, you talked about there's a certain connectedness and intimacy that happens between men when you do these hard things together. And I talk about our shepherds because this is one of the great qualities that I see in these men is just total. I don't even turn around to look. I know they're there. All the time. And I hope that they know the same about me, and it doesn't have to just be about elders. It can be about all of us. It should be about all of us. But that imagery that's so important to me, it's a major part of my thinking. It's so important to me. If we're going to do this spiritual battle thing, and we're going to talk about how important prayer is, and how much it's a part of our spiritual battle thing, it's not just, hey, pray because you need the Lord. It's, and I will be praying for you. And when you're going, maybe you don't see me covering your back, but I'm covering you with my prayer, and you know that I'm there. That's this praying together situation that we're talking about here right now. I'm going back to Acts 1:14. I told you we were going to come back here. Acts 1:14, after Jesus' ascension in the fog of Christianity, when nobody knew what was going on, it says, all these, got it? Every word matters here. All these, with one accord, together, were devoting themselves to prayer, together, and then it says, together with the women and Mary and the mother of Jesus and his brothers, and even Paul, let me throw this one up, the last couple of things. Even Paul says, and also pray for me. If you want to look through each of these specifically, I'll only talk about one of them for the sake of time. Verses 19 and 20, Paul says, give me the words to say so that I know what to say. Next, he says, give me the courage to say it. He talks about boldness. Listen to this. I know we're at the end of the sermon, and this is not the time to be reading things at you, but I have to. This one's too good. Listen to this about boldness. Boldness. This is your the word here is parousia. And the reason why I'm telling you that word parousia is because I want to do something with it. I'm not going to tattoo it on my chest or anything like that, but I don't know what to do with it. But I want to do something with this word. So here's your lexicon definition for parousia. A use of speech that conceals nothing, passes over nothing, outspokenness, frankness, and plainness. So Paul says, give me the words. Pray that God gives me the words. Great. Most of you here have the words. How about this one? And then pray that I have the boldness to say them clearly and plainly and truthfully. Here's some more stuff on this word. I like this one a lot. This is from a commentary on Ephesians. The word originally denoted the democratic freedom of speech enjoyed by Greek citizens. So, hey, you have the ability to speak out. Use it! It then came to mean outspokenness, frankness, plainness of speech that conceals nothing and passes over nothing. That's our definition. Together with courage, confidence, boldness, fearlessness, especially in the presence of people with high rank. I like this a lot. Paul is sitting in a jail cell right now. He's waiting for his turn to stand before a psycho emperor, Nero, who ultimately killed some of the apostles. Paul's waiting, and Paul's prayer is not, would you please feel sorry for me or show me sympathy? His prayer is, pray that I have the boldness to say what I need to say when I need to say it. Parousia. I like it. Lastly, and also as I ought to speak. It's one thing to be a forthcoming loudmouth who just says whatever's running through your mind. I know from experience. It's another thing to be able to speak boldly and plainly and clearly and truthfully in the right way, in the right time. And so Paul says, pray that I know what to say, pray that I have courage to say it, and pray that I know how to say it. And this is where you would say, wow, look, even the Apostle Paul said, would you please pray for me and with me? Let's go back to verse 18. We'll read it one more time and then we'll wrap this up. Put on the whole armor of God so that you can be strengthened in the Lord. And the seventh, the final piece of the armor of God is prayer. Praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints, and also for me, that the words may be given to me in opening my mouth boldly to proclaim the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that I may declare it boldly as I ought to speak. At the end of every lesson, we offer an invitation. It's an opportunity for you to say, I'm not a Christian, but I want to become a Christian. If you know what you need to do, we're going to stand and you can come up here and we can talk about that. But I want to say something else this morning about that. Maybe you're not a Christian and you know that you need to be, or you're thinking about becoming a Christian. You can talk with me about it. Like, we want to talk with you about it. You know who you need to be talking to about it? This prayer lesson is more than just about help me against the devil. This prayer lesson is show me the truth and the way that you want me to go. And listen for God's answer, because he'll give it. And so whether you come forward to obey the gospel right now, or commit to praying, to talking with God and asking him about what he wants from you, come forward if you need as we stand and sing the invitation song.